community. How did I join this event? That's a great question. We also have it that you can create registration links so that you can invite people that maybe are outside of your program or outside of your community. That's a really great way to host public events to get people excited about what you're building. So as I mentioned, events are our bread and butter. So this is just kind of a quick overview of what it means to create an event here in Virtually. Some things I definitely want to be sure to point out are number one, this is your event switchboard. The goal here is that you don't have to go into Zoom. You don't have to go into Google Calendar. You can do all of your event creation and management right from Virtually. So to simplify and not have too many tools. You can do individual events, you can do recurring events, we can auto-generate your Zoom links, but if you want to use your own, you can do that as well. We can determine where events get sent. So let's say you wanted to make it a public event, you can require registration. Let's say you have a cohort you'd like to invite. You can go ahead and you can do that as well. We do have event security, and this is important because Zoom doesn't currently have event security. So you can choose, hey, I really only want people specifically invited to this event to be able to come. From there, you can determine how people are notified about an event. You can add it to a calendar. You can send direct invites. You can automate reminders, both via email and Slack. You can also send out a post-session feedback survey that will only go to people that specifically attended an event, and we'll be able to pull all of that data in. Maybe you want to set up some events, but all the details aren't solidified yet. You can save an event as a draft and come back to it later once those details are solidified and go ahead and publish. Once you've created your events in Virtually, we will go ahead and auto-generate a unique link, which is ultimately how we are able to collect attendance data and do security. So all of that juicy data, both attendance and feedback, if you choose to send it out, is visible on the Insights tab. We have data by event and also by individual member, just loading here briefly. And what's really great about this is that you can actually easily export all of this data to your tool of choice. So ultimately, let's say you have all of your data in Airtable, you can get all this data right out there so you can manipulate it as you will. So portability of data is really huge. Finally, let's say you want to send an announcement. You want to send communications to specific groups of learners, or you don't want to have to type an email message multiple times on different channels. With Virtually, you can target particular members, and you can also cross-post messages to multiple channels simultaneously. The final great thing about Virtually is that we integrate with all of your favorite tools. So direct integrations with Google Calendar, Zoom, and then we also have a Slack integration for all of those reminders. We integrate with Airtable to get all of your data out. We have a couple of Zap triggers if you want to automate your processes even more with other tools. We can send information straight to Circle. You name it, we're building it. And a lot of it, most of it already exists, obviously. So yeah, so that is the Virtually Event Manager.
Amazing. All right. Yeah. So before I guess we jump into audience Q&A, Laura, what are I guess some frequently questions that people have about the virtual event manager?
Great question. Yeah, I mean, I think probably the number one question is about how attendance tracking works. So many organizations that we see are manually counting people in a call. As you grow, that gets a little tricky. So yeah, how does attendance tracking work?
Yeah, so this is a great question. So one of the things that the team has been really laser focused on is how do you actually get accurate attendance data, and how does Virtually automate this? So the problem with Zoom that a lot of you might be familiar with is with Zoom, the problem is a lot of this attendance data is not very accurate. So when you download a traditional Zoom attendance report, the problem is that most people aren't logged into Zoom. Or even if they are, they might not be logged into their account. It might be their sister's or parents' account. And that creates a lot of complicated data abnormalities, which makes it hard for you to collect really great insights. And so the way Virtually has been able to bypass this is that we actually know who your students are. So one of the first things we ask our users to do is actually upload a roster of their community. And so what we can do is we actually grab participants before they even enter an event. We're able to capture their email and then map that to their attendee profile. And so we're not only are we able to show you their kind of attendance per an event basis, but we can see trends in terms of, hey, what are the events that they continually attend? What's their attendance rate? What's the attendance rate broken down by specific events, by specific tags, by specific members? You can see members who have the highest attendance, members with the lowest attendance. And then obviously you can export this to Airtable for much more thorough analysis and building your own analytics reports.
Yeah, super thorough. Thanks so much, Ish. I'd say another question that we get pretty frequently is, we have a lot of programs that are worldwide and they're working across time zones. So how does virtually handle working across different time zones is a really common question.
Yeah, I mean, I think virtually works really great for time. So it's actually one of the things that this is um, one of the products that we really prioritized was that all the times that your participants see is going to be in their local time. And even with email reminders, when they are getting those reminders, we're going to include a little link that says the view in time zone. So we're very time zone centric. That being said, we also want to empower people to know when to host their events, especially if it's across a variety of different time zones. So that's where our insights and analytics come in handy, because you can actually see attendance rates broken down by events. And the reason that's so powerful is you can see, hey, what is the trend of event attendance based on time? So you can see, hey, like of the last like 10, 15, 20 events, which has the highest attendance? What times are those events? And you'll start to see like, hey, maybe, 7, 8 p.m. works really great for my community, or 8 to 10 a.m. And so really those analytical tools really help give you kind of insight into, hey, what times work best for my events, and then also what topics is my audience really resonating with.
Great. And yes, that's great to hear that your members are across the US, Europe, and Australia. So definitely having to deal with different time zones is a big deal and something we see quite a bit. The term VEM might be new to some of you. So another question that we get is, what other VEMs are on the market right now?
Yeah, that's a really great question. There aren't really many. I think the de facto solution for most programs is actually Google Calendar. So most people use Google Calendar as a virtual event manager, but it's actually a pretty poor one at that. It's poor for a few different reasons, because it's great for one-on-one, it's great for small groups, but when you're trying to get people to gather online, hundreds of people to gather online, it's really difficult. Actually, most people have to use a spreadsheet where they're storing all the email addresses and tags and all the different breakdowns of their community. And then when they have to create an event, they have to continuously copy and paste it. And so the idea is a virtual event manager, knows who you're regularly hosting events with and auto-populate those emails for you without you having to do much at all. So I think Google Calendar and spreadsheets is the de facto solution. For another solution VEM that we've seen besides virtually is a product called Luma, and Luma is a pretty simple one. It has some limited capabilities, and it's not specifically focused for virtual events. I think it also has a lot of capability for in-person events. So if you're hosting a diversity of in-person and virtual events, Luma can be a really good fit. Virtually is specifically focused on virtual events, and I think one of the things that's very powerful about virtually is how many integrations there actually are. So again, Laura alluded to it before, but it's meant to play really well with your existing tool set, whether that's Google Calendar, whether that's Zoom, whether that's Circle, Slack, Airtable. We also have Zapier, so you can literally connect it to any CRM or database out there as well. And we just continue to build on top of more and more integrations.
Thanks, Ish. The last question on my list is, a lot of times organizations that are running live online learning programs or communities, we see Google Classroom being a common one, but one of the limitations is that you need to have a Gmail. How does virtually work for organizations that maybe their members have Outlook or other email clients?
Yeah, that's great. I mean, one of the things is we're very versatile, so we're really made for any kind of calendar platform. So with virtually, when you send out calendar invites, we will deliver those to whatever platform using an ICS, And so those will go out whether it's Google Calendar, whether it's Outlook, whether it's Apple. Calendar invites should work pretty seamlessly.
Great.
Also, we do have a question in the audience, so I'm going to let our audience member chat real quick, and then we can hear what she has to say.
Hey,
Hey, how's it going?
great. I have been really looking at your, oh, I'm coming up as feminist scrapper. I'm so sorry. My name is Kristen. Um,
Hey,
uh,
Kristen.
hey, it's really great to talk to you. I've been looking at virtually for a little while now. I'm using my email automation and a WordPress plugin for my calendar, and it's just not accurate 100% of the time.
The email plugin?
Yeah, my email automation plugin, and
Yeah.
I'm missing my members through the cracks. And like one of my biggest things is being of service to my members. And
Yeah.
anytime I've seen virtually I did Building a Second Brain a couple months ago, and that's where I first came across it. And I was like, oh, this is really great. And one of the things that I have been looking for is a way I host a daily live stream at noon Eastern every day for my members. And one of the things that I'd like to do is let non-members come into that daily live stream once in a while, maybe on a free trial, maybe, not necessarily on a free trial, but like come in for a day and see what's going on. And that is next to impossible with because you can't change the Zoom password. I don't want to change my password and for each month and make it harder on my members. But like, it seems like virtually might be a way that it might be easier to do this.
Yeah, I mean potentially. I'm curious about the use case a little bit more. Tell us why tracking is important to you. So you were talking a little bit about how like the attendance data with your current setup just does isn't accurate. So I'm curious to understand like why that tracking is important to you, how it's inaccurate, and then right now you're talking about some sort of gating mechanism. Um, it sounds like you want kind of these private events, but then also allow a subset of people to get access to these private events. Is that right?
It is. So, throughout the pandemic, I have created a very special community. We get together at noon every day and we do, it's what I call daily pages. It's a version of scrapbook art journaling type thing. And the community that we've created is really unbelievable. It's very special. And once you get into that community, if you want to be a part of that community, it's something that you really, really want.
Yeah,
Um,
sounds
and
awesome.
emails fall through the cracks. Sometimes people don't get their email. Sometimes people get the email on Saturday when it's not happening. And, I've been back and forth with the active campaign people and they're like, we don't actually know why it's happening. And I'm like, okay, fine. I've spent it's only me. So I've spent too many hours trying to figure out why that's happening. And I'd rather just, be of service to my members. And every time I ask my members, what's a great way to get new people to be a part of the community? Every single answer is, well, they should come to the Daily Pages live stream. And figuring out how to get non-members to come to this live stream event that is, like you were saying, Zoom doesn't have real security. So giving out a link that only members should have is not really the right option. Changing the password every so often it's not a great option because a lot of my members are older boomers and tech is not the number one thing on their things they're great at list.
Yeah, that
Um,
that's a tricky situation for sure. So this is something we spend a ton of time thinking about. I think one of the biggest things is we try to operate outside of the Zoom ecosystem. Zoom can be pretty
uh-huh.
closed off. And so we've built all these workarounds to help with these exact problems. And so when it comes to security, one thing that is really powerful is that you can kind of fine tune that as you need. So with your events, you can either let anybody in, you can make it so that only the people who have a very specific tag in your roster are allowed in, or anybody in your community, right? And so when you're talking about this kind of specific use case where you want to have these private events that are secured, but you also want to allow people who are interested in checking out these events on a trial basis, I could imagine a very seamless solution where you could essentially have a sign up form that links to kind of a free trial tag within virtually. And then you could also have a members tag within virtually. And so essentially then you can set the security setting to be kind of, hey, my wider community, anybody in my wider community can enter this event. And the nice thing about this is that anybody who's tagged as a member is going to be able to get it no problem. And then anybody who registers can automatically get added to your roster and get tagged as kind of free trial. And then they will also be able to enter the event, but nobody else. And with kind of our Zapier integration, you can kind of set it up so that these people can automatically get added, automatically removed as you need it, or you could also just do this manually as well. So again, and kind of I don't have all the context here, but that's how I would approach using kind of a VEM, specifically virtually use VEM to maybe help solve this problem for you and your audience.
Yeah, that sounds pretty awesome, actually.
Well, great to hear it. Yeah, I mean, give that a shot. Obviously, we're here to help. And yeah, we'd love to kind of, yeah, keep up with progress and how that solution works out for you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks so much for coming on, Kristen. We'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely.
All right. Laura, should we wrap up with our one-time offer that we have for our audience today?
Yes, we should. If you can go ahead and pull it up, that would be great.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and pull it up. Well, everybody who stuck around, we really appreciate it. We've got a little bit of a gift for everybody who came to the webinar today. So give me a second while I pull it up. So we are offering this one-time offer for anybody who came to today's webinar. If you sign up for virtually and you upgrade for the pro plan, if you send this coupon code VEM 2022 to hello@tryvirtually.com, you actually, and then with the email you used to sign up, you actually get your first month free. And so this is a great opportunity to basically figure out if a VEM, virtual event manager, is right for you. Again, thanks everybody for joining us for today's webinar. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can just reach out to me at ish@tryvirtually.com or laura@tryvirtually.com. With that, Ish and Laura signing off. We'll talk to you guys next time. Thanks everybody.
Thank you.